Houston of the Delicious Revolution, and today we're gonna make a tasty splurge. Now, nothing says splurge to me more than cheese, especially Brie. That's my personal splurge favorite. So today we're gonna make a quick, easy appetizer that's great if someone's coming over at the last minute and you didn't have a lot of notice, because you can throw this together really quick. All you need to do is take some onion. I like to use a sweet onion if you have it, because it'll cook up much quicker. It's softer, it has a higher water content, so it's not gonna give you as pungent a taste if you don't get to cook it very long, which is nice. If you do need to use a regular onion, just use a little bit less onion. But in the event of a sweet onion, we're gonna use 1/4 of a sweet onion and 1 clove of garlic. We're gonna saute that in a little saucepan, which I've already done here. We're gonna saute that in a little saucepan until it just begins to turn golden and the onions are soft and translucent. Once they're soft and translucent, we're gonna add to that 1 full cup of broth. Now, if you want a vegetarian dish, just go ahead and use a vegetarian broth. This one I have used an organic free-range chicken broth. That was my broth that I had sitting around. And I just let that cook. And I just let it have a nice slow boil, and it'll reduce down. While that's going on, I go ahead and I hand rip up some greens in nice bite-sized pieces. Now, we want it in bite-sized pieces because we're gonna pour this delicious glaze when it's finished over the top of the brie, and we're gonna serve it on little crostinis. You could use French bread for this, you could use crackers. I had some naan from some Indian food we made last night sitting around, so I went ahead and toasted that, and that's what I'm using as my crostinis. Now, eventually, again, we're gonna top this brie with the sweet glaze. We want them to be able to spread. We want our guests and ourselves to be able to spread the brie on the crostini, and then top it with some greens. And the reason why I throw out a little greens in there is because as we're digesting something rich and creamy like a brie, any dietary splurge really, it's always nice to give the body a little extra fiber to make sure it gets through our pipes nice and easily. That's why we want to go ahead and incorporate some nice torn small greens that fit bite size onto the top of our melted cheese crackers. Okay, so after that 1 cup of broth has been reduced down to at least half, we're just gonna go ahead and add an apricot preserve. Now, lucky for me, my mother-in-law makes the best apricot preserves in the entire world. So I have some on hand. You can use a store-bought preserve, no problem. You want to go for one that doesn't have too much sugar. Try to find a nice fruit-rich one without a lot. Certainly no high fructose corn syrup. We're splurging here, but we're not trying to kill ourselves. So all you have to do is gently mash those onion and garlic right into the preserves, and it's going to slowly come together as a nice apricot or peach-colored glaze. Now, I'll tell you, I use this, or a variation of this, for different appetizers all the time. I like to use a raspberry preserve. Same thing, I use 1 clove of garlic and some onion, sauteed until it's translucent. I reduce it down in a little bit of broth, and then I add a raspberry preserve and I serve it on top of goat cheese. Then I sprinkle that with a little bit of slivered almonds, and the same thing, I serve it with greens and any kind of cracker or bread that I have lying around. So you can do any twist on this that you like, whatever kind of preserve that you have, either you're good at making or you saw was seasonally available at the store. Go ahead and try some variations of this and see what comes out good. Now, this is mixing together really well here. It starts to boil rather quickly because, of course, there's a high sugar content in most preserves, and even if there's not too much sugar, the fruit itself is so sweet and so thick that it starts to boil really quickly. And that's okay. We want to get nice and hot so that it makes our cheese melt a little bit when we eat it. And that's it. It's going to make a tasty, sweet sauce. Now, the recipe for this is online, so don't feel like you have to write it down. But all we did here is, once the apricot is melted in, we're gonna add just a pinch of salt. The broth probably has a decent sodium content. I know even the organic free-range one that I used had some sodium in it, so I didn't find that it needed salt, but it does need a lot of fresh cracked black pepper. Gives it a little bit of kick. And I even like to serve a little bit on top. Now, you know that this is thick enough to form a glaze when it covers the back of the spoon and starts to look as thick as honey. Ooh, that's good. Now, like I said, I like a little extra pepper in mine, so I'm gonna go ahead and add just a little more here. I like the combination. It's the sweet fruit, the kick of lots of fresh cracked black pepper, the mild onion and garlic flavor, and it is mild after it's been reduced down in the broth. It's just a creamy, smooth, rich sauce that makes it taste like you've been in the kitchen for days, but you haven't. Okay, now that's off. We're just gonna pour this right over the brie. Look, it looks so pretty. There we go. Serve extra because once we cut into that brie, you're gonna want a little extra on the plate. You might want to keep your sauce nearby in the kitchen and handy in case your guests go through that. And that's how it looks. Just take a look at that. Nice orange color from the brie. You can see all that fresh cracked black pepper in there. I'm gonna give it a try, make sure that it came out okay, because I don't want to leave you wondering whether or not it was any good. Now that nice hot glaze just makes the brie melt right down. Oh, that looks so good. I'm gonna give it a turn here. Once again, I'm just gonna add a little bit of greens onto my bite. This is gonna be really great to take a bite in front of you guys. My mouth full of lettuce. Good thing it's not our first date. Very good. Definitely not first date food, but very, very delicious. The sweet apricots, the cracked black pepper, the creamy brie. You can see how that's just melting right out of there too as soon as you cut it open. Delicious, fast, and easy. Now, you can find this recipe and many other recipes like it at thedeliciousrevolution.com. I hope you take a minute to come check us out. This is Joy Houston saying goodbye and thank you for your time.